My name's Paul Williams from Extra Bold Design, and as a brochure design company near Glasgow, I get asked quite often about images and about whether what people need to show, whether what they've got is of sufficient quality or is right for whatever it is that they need to show. And then what follows on from that is if it isn't, and if it is, then great, what formats do we need to supply it in? How could we best supply it in so that we get the right quality for the finished product? If that's not possible, where do we source our imagery from? How do we do it? What do we need to supply? Where do we need to go to get what we need doing? And the answer to all of those questions is of course dependent on the industry that the company is in, the budget that they have, what their product is or their service, how that needs to be shown, what raw materials they have, what they're bringing in. You know, is it suited to a photographic treatment? Does it need to be illustrated? Also aesthetically, what's going to work best as well? Is a more literal thing like a photograph better, or is it better to show things in a more conceptual way, if you like, through illustration? Then of course when you get further down, for example in photography, how do we source that? You know, do we need a photographer? If so, what kind of photographer do we need? What do they need from us? How do they need to set these things up? How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? All of those sorts of things. Going down this avenue of photography, now obviously you've got a number of options. You've got the option of providing your own. You've got the option of employing a professional photographer. For example, if you have a lot of product that needs to be photographed, really good idea to get yourself on board with a professional product photographer. A wedding photographer is probably not a good person to get. They're more interested in people and they're geared up for that. So you might have to find a wedding photographer that photographs products and does it very well. If so, that's great. But so you've got that to think about as well. What sort of professional do you need? If you don't need or want to go down that route, what other options are there? You've got things like royalty-free photography, for example, or let's just say photography that is available through stock providers. A lot of those online now. They vary in terms of what you get, how much you pay, and what rights you have. And again, that's another little minefield that people need to negotiate. I mean, you've got two basic types of stock photography. So you've got two types of stock images, really. And actually, images can be photographs, they can be illustrations, actually. All that stuff's now available. So you've got two types. You've got rights managed, and you've got royalty free. And they vary in terms of what they are, what you can do with them, and how much you pay. Rights managed is generally speaking the more expensive of the two options, but the advantage with that is that you tend to get much better quality in terms of the subject, the way it's portrayed, the fact that there won't be anything wrong with the photo. See, the thing about royalty free is it's a great source of low-cost imagery. I use it a lot, actually. I use it a lot for my clients because if you know what you're looking for, it's like IKEA, you know, if you know what you're looking for, you know, you go in there and you weed out a lot of stuff, but you can find the gems, and that's what you're looking for. But you will find that most royalty-free photography, because it's cheap, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be something not quite right with the picture. You just need to take that on board. You just need to accept that and work with it. You can get some good stuff royalty-free. So that's your basic options there in terms of images. One thing I wouldn't recommend for any printed material, I would not recommend sourcing images from the web in terms of lifting them from websites. I would not recommend that for a number of very good reasons. First of all is copyright infringement. If you don't have permission, don't use it. Always make sure you get permission, and of course if you're using an image website, you know, something like iStock, for example, is a good example. I use them a lot. And built into that, in what you pay, is the permission to use it in a certain kind of way for a certain number of copies of a brochure, for example, or whatever. You're forming a little contract with them, and so you're covered. As long as you don't go with that contract, you're covered. But if you go lifting images from elsewhere, you could end up yourself in some serious trouble. And the last thing you want to do is to have to suddenly reprint all your brochures because you've used an image that belongs to somebody else and you don't have permission to use it. The other very good reason actually not to lift images from the web is a quality issue. You're not going to get the quality. The images are not big enough. They are almost always optimized for the web, which means that the quality of the image has been deliberately downgraded in order to make them quick to download. It's done deliberately, but the problem is that you start using that in print, which has a much finer resolution, quality, if you like, about it. You're going to see the limitations of what the web imagery is about, and it's not going to look great in print. So you need to think about those things too, quality issues as well. If you found this information useful and you'd like to receive 3 free videos which feature the top 3 questions that I tend to get asked as a brochure designer, then all you need to do is go to www.brochuredesignglasgow.com, and there you can also get information about the free appraisal which I offer, where I'm happy to sit down with you and appraise your current materials, and also a money off voucher. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.